And then those TI experts, those people who came from industry that are working, they're helping to review the products and the marketing that we're putting out to make sure that yes, it does speak to that persona that is in the trenches, is doing the actual work, in a way using the terms and the level of straightforwardness without the fluff.
Welcome back to another installment of the Next Gen Case Study Series. On today's episode, we have Shawn Jaques, who is the head of product marketing at Feedly, where he leads efforts to drive the adoption of AI-powered tools for marketing intelligence and competitor analysis. With over 30 years of experience across product marketing, strategy, and business development, Shawn has held key roles at major companies like IBM, GitHub, and Tricentis. He is passionate about integrating AI to enhance market research and decision making in the tech space, which is why we're excited to have him on the show. Shawn, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the pleasure's mine. I'm really excited to dig into some of the work that you're doing here with Feedly and the AI powered tools that you guys are working on. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, Shawn, I'd love to just start with a quick couple of minutes of your background, who you are, where you came from, and how you landed as the head of product marketing at Feedly.
Sure. So I started as an accountant, and I decided that after 5 years, that wasn't where I wanted to be. So I went back to school and then started into some consulting, and then found my way to IBM, where I spent a sizable number of years, uh, various roles like strategy and product management and marketing. And that's when I decided that marketing was probably the best place for me. Product marketing, we called it market management at the time, but the role is basically the same as it was back then, just a different name. And then moved around to a couple of different companies. IBM's a very large company, and there's a lot of matrix type reporting and things like that. So I wanted to try something smaller, and that got me to BMC software, and then GitHub, and then I was fortunate enough to join a startup of about 40 people called Testum, and then Testum was acquired. I was the head of product marketing there, and then Testum was acquired by Tricentis. So that was a nice little run up in growth and an acquisition exit, which was nice. And then after a year of being at Tricentis, I decided to go back to another smaller company, which is Feedly. So happy to be at Feedly. For those of you that aren't familiar with Feedly, Feedly is primarily a security and market intelligence company. Now, we didn't start that way. We started as a news aggregation uh, application that you have on your phone. So there's millions of users that probably use Feedly in that sense, So you aggregate all of your news sources in there, and you use keyword searches, and you can also use AI to kind of filter down to the things that you want. Well, we took that technology and then we really enhanced it, especially for security and market intelligence use cases. The security side is really advanced. We have hundreds of customers, some of the largest customers in the world, and they're using it for threat intelligence capabilities. It collects information from thousands of open source sources, and brings it in, correlates very interesting information. So understanding how threat actors are related to malware, is related to vulnerabilities, those kind of things. And then they incorporate that or ingest that stuff into their other tools and systems. Similar for the market intelligence side, they're focused on competitive intelligence. They're focused on new product announcements, trending news, things like that help them get a better grasp for what's happening in their industry.
Yeah, it's funny because I knew I recognized the name and I couldn't quite place why I did. And I'm now looking back in reflection, and I think there was a point in time where Feedly was doing some work with like RSS feeds and with news and things like that. And I've
That's right.
personally used Feedly to set up RSS news feeds for blogs that I used to manage. This was I can't even remember now, probably a few years ago, but it I get a sense that it has evolved tremendously since then. How
It
long have you
is.
been with Feedly, Shawn?
I've only been there about 16 months, 17 months, so not very long.
Okay.
Um, but it's been a fun journey. We've been really trying to take we have strong product market fit on the security side, and
Hmm.
we've really been trying to ramp up our growth and really gain more recognition and in the marketplace so that we can expand our presence. So when people most people in the security space already know about Feedly. They've used the individual app, but a lot of people don't know about what the enterprise app that we call Feedly Threat Intelligence can do for them. And so when they start to use that, it becomes a really good value prop for them because it's not super expensive relative to some of the other tools on the market, and it provides a ton of value.
So tell me a little bit more about that. Is this part of the AI integration stuff that you guys are currently working on developing?
Yeah, so Feedly has a number of different ways that we use AI. So for about 5 years now, we started building what we call these AI models, and they form the basis for these feeds that essentially look across all the different sources that you have, and they narrow it down to the things that you're interested in. So, for instance, if you're interested in um, I'll use a security example. If you're interested in threat actors from a certain they're attacking a certain industry, you can combine a couple of these AI models, and they will look at all the aliases that make up that threat actor. They will pair that uh, with the industry using kind of a Boolean logic, and or type logic, and then give you a feed of information that is only related to that particular topic. You can take that same topic and say, I'm interested in similar thing for competitive intelligence. I'm only interested in these competitors. I want to know about news that's related to a competitive move they're making. And then it gives you a feed that is constantly updated whenever there's a new story written about that particular topic.
Okay, so tell me about some of the practical applications of this, because right off the bat, my mind went first to reputation management, like for bigger companies,
Some
knowing what's
some
being talked
companies
about.
will do it that way. Yes, for
Okay.
sure. They'll use it for some reputation management. Some will use it to monitor new trends. So reputation management is one area that some companies will use Feedly a little bit, but the more common use cases are things like competitive analysis or understanding technology trends, or perhaps doing some consumer trend analysis. So understanding what kind of trends are happening right now, and then really giving them the content, like the articles that would allow them to dive deeper. On the security side, it's very much about understanding the threats that are facing their particular company. So they could be focused on vulnerabilities, new malware, threat actors, and trying to plan threat hunts using information that they get from Feedly. So it's really a number of different use cases depending on whether you're security side or the market intelligence side that form the basis for Feedly.
Right. Okay. So who then is this for primarily? I get that there's probably a lot of different verticals or different industries that could benefit best from this, but where is your focus right now?
We cross pretty much all of the industries. The two, I would say, groups within organizations that are the most relevant for Feedly are the security organization.
Hmm.
So especially if they have a threat intelligence team, which really is about any company that's larger than, say, 250 people. And then on the market intelligence side, if they have an innovation team or a competitive intel team or a market intel team, those kinds of teams are right for this. So we see a lot of companies, large luxury brands using it. Sometimes it's like an oil and gas company that just wants to understand competitive trends and things like that. So it really goes across the gamut in terms of industry.
Right. I read somewhere in a recent article that in the B2B space, 84% of new business comes from referrals, which leaves a very small uh uh very small section of room for outbound marketing efforts that are actually successful. So I think what I'd love to hear from you, Sean, is maybe what the go-to-market is, or what your strategy is here for finding the right people and connecting them with this product. Because I can't imagine that would be a simple task given just the complex nature of the tools that you guys are developing.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we started with a pretty sizable base in that individual newsreader app, and when we started to add these enterprise capabilities for market intelligence and threat intelligence, then a lot of it was going back to that base that, people that were already familiar with Feedly, that have used Feedly, and trying to get them to upsell. And um, that's been the biggest source for our customers. But, eventually you start to run out of those kind of people, going after people who already found your app. Now you're trying to find more people to use your app. And so there's a number of different ways that we're targeting that. One is we have started doing some actual advertising. So a little bit of advertising there. Our biggest source of new qualified leads, though, tends to be referrals, like you said. And I don't mean referrals from another website as much as referrals from uh, somebody who's used the product. And in the security side, for instance, they have these information sharing organizations. Sometimes they're called ISACs, and those organizations often talk about what tools they use together, and then from there, that leads people to that give Feedly a little try, and we then have a free trial that you can get started on, and that trial will hopefully convince them that this is the right product for them.
Okay, so then I wonder how that affects your efforts in terms of scalability and growth and goals and things like that. Is there a way that you guys have systemized your approach to kind of, I don't know what the right word here is, to nurture those referrals, to kind of encourage or inspire some of the people that you're working with to kind of talk more about your business? Or is that just purely on the back of having a remarkable service?
We're starting to do more of that. It hasn't been like a key thing. Like we don't have like an official referral program within the organization. For instance, we do have, we have started to ask for like reviews on different review sites, and we're starting to get more of those. So, Gartner Peer Insights is someplace that we think has a benefit to enterprise customers looking for other solutions. And so we've started to grab some, you know, ask some of our customers to review that. And then, the place that we continue to get just expansion is just kind of organically. We have tons of people who have been using Feedly for a while. They mention it in a YouTube channel or in a blog or in some other way, and that's just a nice little alert for us that and we're also using our own Feedly to collect those mentions. Like anytime somebody mentions that, we use our own tool and then we post it to our own channel, and then we're like, okay, this person mentioned it on YouTube, or they mentioned it on a blog, and then we'll sometimes reach out to those folks and ask them if they're interested in doing any kind of referral partnership, if that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's super meta.
Yeah,
Having your own feed of your own company and
that's right.
that being your tool. I love that that's a part of it. Um, when it comes to and this is so interesting because I'm just going back to like some of my experience with Feedly, and I think that that's exactly how I found you, is that somebody else had wrote a blog about how to set up a feed, and you got to do XYZ to get that, and then there was like a faster, easier way. It just so happened to be Feedly, and I bought in, like I was a part of it, and I leveraged the tool for a very long time. So that works. I wonder if was there some intentionality in engineering that sort of thing, or is that just the community kind of rallying around you? And I'll just preface this with Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels, funnel hacking the cult, you know what I mean? Like that little group of, and self-professed, like he set out to create that and talks about that in his own marketing. It was intentionally created so that people would continue to talk about the product. So again, I just want to point back at, was that an intentional thing or this kind of just happened organically for you guys?
I would say a lot of this. Well, first of all, it preceded me, so I don't want to. It's a little bit hard for me to say whether it was organic
Yeah, fair.
or intentional. I'm, it's a welcome organic source of growth, and word of mouth has definitely been one of the key things that has allowed Feedly to grow as it has.
Yeah, that's super powerful. Having a product or a service that's so remarkable that people want to talk about it or sh have to share it because it's so necessary as part of, certain functions or it opens the door to certain things that you wouldn't have otherwise had. So there's a huge connection. So I want to kind of shift our focus here a little bit to some of the bigger goals, some of the, future things that you guys are aiming at. Maybe we can start with just a ballpark kind of like revenue milestone. Where are you at, and where do you think you guys are headed in the next 12 months or couple of years? What's the big goals?
So I can't disclose the revenue per se, but I will say that we are on a good clip. We have around 60 employees to give you some idea of our size. But from there, we are planning on growing really quickly, and we have been. A lot of that growth has been on the security and the threat intelligence and market intelligence products. Those are the two areas that we are focused on the most in terms of new acquisition, new revenue growth. And we're doing a lot of things. One of the things we've learned about Feedly is a complete learning organization. So these feeds are organized about getting news and information about things that you're interested in. And so when our team sees something they're interested in, it could be a new podcast, a new book, a new concept. They're always sharing it with the team, and then there's conversations about those. So it's a very curious and learning culture that we've developed at Feedly. And from there, we're always trying new things. I'll give you an example. Like 6 months ago or so, we heard about Matt Lerner and his Growth Levers book,
Okay.
and we were very interested in that concept. It's saying, hey, as a startup, there are a few things that are really going to move the needle quickly, and the important part of your job as a startup is to work through all your experiments as quickly as possible to find those levers that will really move the bar. And so that's some of what we do. We try to focus on is yes, we want to deliver a 7-star experience for our customers, but we also want to make sure that we are trying things that have the potential to really be, big game changers for us, if that makes
So,
sense.
and with big goals comes big challenges. I wonder if you could share a little bit about what you foresee being some of the hurdles that you'll have to overcome to achieve some of these goals.
Well, there's a lot of competition, and so we're in the AI space, and AI is evolving very quickly. I mean, if you think just a year ago what you could do with ChatGPT and some of the models versus what happens now, it's it's um it's a lot. It's amazing what's happening, it really is. And we're trying to leverage a lot of that technology. So one of the things we've done is we've incorporated some of those LLM type technology so that we can analyze a set of articles, for instance, and pull out and create not just summarize, but really get deeper. Say extract all of the malware associations with threat actors in these articles and put it into a table or into a report that I can then just copy and paste and send out to my team. So really trying to take the that technology and evolve it in a way that is grounded in the articles or grounded in that content, so there's no hallucinations, and yet it's also really help them save a lot of time in tasks that would do on a normal basis. But again, everybody's everybody seems to be going down the same path and trying to incorporate more and more of this technology into their products. And so, trying to differentiate what you're doing with AI from what other companies are doing with AI is going to be, I think, an ongoing concern that we have.
Yeah, I'm very present too. This is the worst the technology's ever going to be. People who watch this
Yeah,
show know I've said that a number of times before. I'm still just in awe of how quickly it was just at the top of the year. Hey, we have this crazy thing called artificial intelligence, and it beat the Turing test. Okay. And then we start stacking all of this technology on top of it and capability and plugging things in. And now there's API and generative things, and so just seeing how it's all evolved makes it very difficult to kind of keep up with it. Because here's what happens: you start this idea that you have at the current state of the technology, you bring it close to fruition, and the technology's already changed completely. And so now that idea that you were just pursuing might not be viable anymore because there's a different solution out there that already addressed that issue.
it is crazy how fast everything is moving right now, and it's just going to keep going. Um, we've been, we're not brand new to the AI space though. Like I said, we've been developing these AI models for like 5 years. We have a machine learning AI team that has been building, and is testing all kinds of new technologies, RAG, and using different AI models to see what results we get are the best, and really trying to make sure that we're focusing the AI not just on you know a simple prompt that gives you an answer, but really how can we understand the context of what you're looking at right now based on the articles that you have, and how do you turn that into a set of uh, prompts that can help you drive to a report that is exactly the kind of information that you're looking for. So really, trying to understand the context to turn it into an output that is actionable and saves them a bunch of time is really the goal of what we're trying to do.
So how are you m- determining what is a successful venture versus, maybe this is a project or a thing that we need to put down and move on from? What sorts of metrics are you using to determine your success?
It's interesting. So we have a pretty defined process of how we build new features, and one of the things that we do there is we recruit what we have a beta sales pitch, if you will, and so we try to recruit some of our customers to participate in the beta program, but we have pretty strict exit criteria on the beta that before we can exit the beta, we have to have people who are committed to adopting the technology. And so we're really measuring, like what is the adoption through the beta process? Is this a useful feature? So before we ever release it to the market, it's undergone, a ton of beta testing. It's done internal testing. It's done a lot of stuff to see that, yes, not only is it work and it's viable, but it's providing valuable information that helps them do their jobs better. And um, if we don't find that it is, then we won't release it. So that's kind of been our approach is constantly try to deliver the most value that we can, and make sure that we're iterating very quickly and innovating all the time.
That's really powerful, having built-in feedback loops that allow you to be in touch with the people you're serving, have
Yeah.
that direct line of feedback, and then understand what direction to take. And in a lot of cases, I think there's a big disconnect with companies and their clients. And one that I admire very much for the way that they approach this is go high level, and how they have an entire platform as like a offshoot of their tool that is dedicated to, it's just a forum where people like suggest things, and because they have such a large number of users, other users have the ability to up or downvote the importance of some of these tools, and so you can see in real time the demand that exists for certain upgrades or tools or things that you can add to the platform, or just simplifying workflows. And this collective intelligence that's at play now that allows the company to kind of steer itself in a way that's going to be beneficial to everybody. And I think that that's really important in a day and age where technology is constantly changing and evolving. To be a part of an organization or attached to one who is constantly innovating, I think is going to be beneficial for any company in the long run. So it's cool to see that you guys are ahead of that and working for it.
Yeah, it's really great to be able to talk to customers to get that feedback, and part of it starts with we have a customer success team. We call them advisors, and a customer of the TI or MI product can request a workshop on anything that they want at any time, right? We don't limit that, and we get they will put reports in a Slack channel so that everybody on the team gets to see what was the output for that. The same thing as we do from sales conversations, right? So everybody has this transparency into what customers are asking about, what are the kinds of problems they're facing, and then those TI experts, those people who came from industry that are working, they're helping to review the products and the marketing that we're putting out to make sure that yes, it does speak to that persona that is in the trenches, is doing the actual work in a way using the terms and the level of straightforwardness without the fluff, as much as possible so that we are reflecting what they want to know. And so that whole process, it's not just in the product development process and the beta, but it really, it starts with existing customers, developing those relationships through the customer success program, and getting more access to that feedback.
So when it comes to like the practical element of this, of like of creating or building or innovating inside of your own company, is this something that you guys focus on internally, or do you look externally for collaborative partners who can help augment some of the things that you're working on?
For the most part, it's been internal.
Mhm.
We look externally for ideas,
Right.
different ways to continually improve our process, and to make sure that we're constantly learning and curious and improving the processes. But we don't really have a lot of like development partners. We have some integration partners just to make sure that Feedly integrates well with other tools. But I wouldn't say that we're really on that development partner side. I mean, the development partners are our beta customers, and in the way that they uh, get in there, they contribute, they test stuff with us, they provide feedback constantly.
Yeah, I think that's a part of what you guys have already established as far as like the community that you've fostered around the business
Right.
to allow for that innovation. That's really cool. Shawn, this has been really great. As we kind of come to a close of our time together here, I wonder if we can look forward at some of the trends or things that are kind of going on in the industry that you're scared of, looking forward to, or perhaps a little bit nervous of. I know that at the top before we started, that this was going to be a bit of a challenging question, so I'm going to put it on you at the end here. What have you kind of noticed that's going on that you're excited about?
Well, there's a couple of things. So there's a number of what do we say, unknown unknowns, so we don't really know what's coming. Obviously, we know that technology is changing really quickly, and we have to stay up with that. The thing that scares me personally, scares me is if there's some companies out there that are leveraging AI, building AI, the big companies like Anthropic and Google and Microsoft through Open AI and that partnership, they have a ton of resources and a ton of money. And they're getting the content that they're using to train these things from, sources like Reddit and Twitter and places that, you know, it makes it really hard for smaller companies like us to afford to participate in some of those kind of models, especially when they're forming licensing agreements and things like that. So that is the thing that is a little, uncertain to us, right? Because we're kind of built off of leveraging the open source information that's out there on the internet, and if that all starts to change in terms of the model of how we can collect information, then that becomes a risk for us. And so we have some projects underway to figure out how we fix that or how we account for that. But that's uh, that's probably the biggest thing that I would be concerned about.
It's one of those you don't know what you don't know. And so
That's
you can
right.
only get as far as you can with what you do know, and I love that as kind of just a guiding star, because there's a curiosity that comes with it. Because now you either can be fearful and shut down and never do anything about it, or you adopt this propensity to want to discover, explore, and find what's coming or what's there, or what you're missing. So really cool stuff. To kind of close out the show here, Shawn, I love to ask my guests one other question. That is, if there was somebody who's kind of out there, who's up to it, trying to create something, but is facing challenges that they need to overcome, what sort of advice might you offer someone like that?
Um, that's an interesting question. So with any challenge, it's to think about, um, what are ultimately your goals, and what are you know, my wife is an executive coach, and she'll often ask, what are you afraid of? Why not lean into it? What is the worst that can happen? And so, when you kind of have a grounding in like, well, I might get my feelings hurt, or I might get some of those things are really easy to just say, push aside, right? And then you start to lean into those challenges. Um, from a business perspective, it is definitely difficult to, to account for some of the challenges. There's always so many things that are happening that you can't anticipate. Uh, so it's hard to answer generally, but I would just say lean in. You know, don't be afraid. Don't procrastinate. These challenges are all manageable if you break them down and attack them. Piece by piece. And so, do that. Break them down, find out what things you can control and what things you can't control. And, like the old saying goes, don't worry about the things you can't control, worry about those that you can, and try to focus on that.
I love that. Keep your focus on what you can take care of. I think that that's really powerful. Um, this has been great, Shawn. I'm very grateful for the time and the wisdom that you've shared with us today. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to pick your brain further or perhaps work with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Shawn Jaques, Jaques, on LinkedIn. You can also find me at Shawn@feedly.com. And that's
Beautiful.
SHAWN.
Yeah, there's like four different versions. So it's
Yeah,
good that
right.
you cleared that one up. Awesome, Shawn. This has been great. We'll make sure to link to all that stuff in the show notes so that if people did want to reach out to you, they can do that easily that way. And on that note, if you want to get in touch with me and my team for any of your marketing or AI needs, you can visit nextgengrowth.com. Otherwise, that's it for this conversation. Thanks for joining us for this episode, and I will see you in the next.